Very happy to be here today. You might recognize the Inventa Capital logo from the gigantic star in the middle of the conference floor there. So I'd invite everybody after this to come say hi to us. So we've got representatives from our companies and our groups here. Chris Donaldson in the back, who's going to be presenting after me. Liz Monger as well. She's going to be at the booth. And Mike Pettengell from Visa Silver. So come say hi to us. We traveled from Canada to be here, and we're very happy to be here. So I'm going to be talking today about Inventa Capital and how we're providing the elements that the world needs. And in order to do that, I think, I'm not sure how it's, there we go. In order to do that, I think we should be talking a little bit about how Inventa Capital came to be. So Inventa Capital was founded by myself and Craig Perry in 2017 to seize emerging opportunities in the natural resource sector. I had started basically in the industry at the very top of the market in 2011, kind of the opposite of what we're at right now, and I'd worked for about 5 or 6 years trying to work with some of the best companies I could find and start my own companies. And I met Craig when he had moved to Canada from Australia and was in the process of starting ISO Energy, spinning that out of NextGen Energy. Craig quickly became a mentor to me, and we started a cobalt company. He decided to back me. I had some ideas on cobalt, and in less than 10 months, we took our idea of the cobalt company and sold it for $12 million. That $12 million became worth 5 times that in the market afterwards. Ourselves and our shareholders were rewarded quite nicely from that company. The day that we sold Cobalt One, we incorporated Inventa Capital and Visa Silver, and I'll talk about that right now. But we've grown from myself and Craig, a small partnership, to now an award-winning team, technical team of geologists, world-class engineers, leaders in corporate function and market awareness. We have the perfect combination to take ideas from just an idea through incubation to success, and I'll talk about that today. So our mission is to advance these opportunities and to become the world leader in the natural resource finance industry. So we have a track record of success. This is a picture of me and Craig in New York last year, ringing the bell at the New York Stock Exchange for Visa Silver. Visa, we IPO'd in 2018 at 15 cents a share. We took that from 15 cents to an all-time high of over $3.40. Today we're trading just over $2, but it was upwards of a 23 times return for investors at the IPO. At ISO Energy, ISO had gone from a low of 23 cents to over $6. A maximum return of 28 times there. So there is a track record of success with our affiliated companies, but we've also have other affiliations like Cobalt One, NextGen Energy, Tiger's Realm, EMR Capital, and many more. And there's an opportunity, I think, here that's important to talk about. And the opportunity is we're sitting at what I believe is a low of really kind of the early stages of recovery in the commodity space. I think there's going to be an incredible amount of money made in the coming commodity cycle, and commodities have bottomed against the S&P 500 index, showing an opportunity similar to the commodity cycle that followed the 2000s tech bust. You can see on the chart here, I think it's really nicely described here in this chart. But there's other new drivers here. There's drivers like the energy transition, decarbonization, the banking and debt crises that appear to have created the perfect storm for investors. To see outsized return in metals and mining stocks. And I believe that silver, gold, uranium, copper, nickel, tin, and lithium all look poised to move a lot higher. But there's a problem. And the problem is that, where does one go to find these investments to capitalize on this coming commodity cycle? There's too many juniors out there. The industry has a negative perception in mainstream investment. And during the previous years of zero interest rates, it created an everything but commodities bubble. Investors aren't sure where to go to find companies that will outperform. Many groups are technically strong but lack the corporate and market ability to succeed, while other groups are all sizzle, no steak. We have a solution, and the solution is that Inventa has combined the technical ability of award-winning geologists, strong engineers, and we've combined that with corporate abilities, access to capital, and ability to raise market awareness. Over the last 6 years, we've reviewed hundreds, if not thousands, of projects and selected the best assets we could find for the commodities that we feel have the highest upside. Over the last 24 months, Inventa has completed major acquisitions in our portfolio companies, and we're now very well situated for the coming market. We take a portfolio approach and give investors the ability to invest in our publicly traded companies, focus on the most important commodities. So, I would invite everybody to come to our booth, talk to us, but also I invite everybody to look at buying our stocks here. We have a basket of Inventa Capital companies, and we could talk about them here at the booth, but I'll just quickly describe them. Silver and gold in Mexico, Vizsla Silver; tin lithium in Australia, Tin One; copper in British Columbia, Vizsla Copper; battery nickel in Eastern Canada, Archer Exploration. Coastal Resources is uranium in Saskatchewan. It's the exact same team as ISO Energy. It's trading at 30 cents. Lithium in Targa Exploration in Canada, and gold in Australia. This is our group of companies, and we'd love to have you come to the booth and talk to us here and invest in our company. And now I'll talk about Vizsla Silver. We talked about it briefly here, the beginnings of Vizsla Silver. And I'll be making forward-looking statements. I should have had a disclaimer in front of the Inventa, but this disclaimer applies for all the previous statements in the Inventa presentation as well. And our vision for growth at Vizsla is to become one of the world's largest single-asset silver primary producers through the discovery, development, and production at the 100% owned Panuco Precious Metals District in Mexico. There's an opportunity for investors in Vizsla, and the problem here is that there are very few high-quality silver exploration and development companies in which to invest. The silver space has seen minimal investment over the last decades. Silver is becoming more important, demand is rising, supply is dropping. I just got a document that was projecting a 130% deficit in the next 7 years for silver, the most impacted out of all the decarbonization metals. We expect higher silver prices to drive even higher silver equity prices. Vizsla has the world's largest undeveloped high-grade silver resource in the top silver producing country, which is Mexico. Vizsla has an expert team, strong financial footing, and huge potential upside for investors at this stage of the company. We believe silver has gone from about $20 recently to over 24 today. I suspect that's going to continue with this, the various crises out there, plus the drivers like electrification, renewable energy, and electric vehicles. We're expecting a major deficit coming here. So the question is, where will stable, large-scale supply come from? Well, Mexico is the top producer of silver in the world. Mexico is home to the world's largest primary silver mines and the world's largest silver mining company, Fresnillo. Vizsla Silver's goal is to build a major silver mining complex in Mexico to help answer this supply question. We believe that major districts like ours will not only become more important for the mining industry, but for end users like EV manufacturers as well. And there have been rumors of Elon Musk looking for silver mines. So why Vizsla Silver? Since starting in late 2019, Vizsla has drilled over 250,000 meters. It's a globally significant exploration program. We've done that in a few short years. That drilling and discovery has resulted in the world's largest undeveloped high-grade silver resource. We have significant discovery, but you might think, well, we drilled that much, what else is there left to find? Well, we have huge upside left. We've only drilled 10% of the overall veins in our district and tested only 30% of our targets. We have 90,000 meters expected for this year. And as we're successful and as we continue to find more silver and define the resources here, we have an expedited pathway to production that's unlike any of our competitors in the peer group. We have 30-year production agreements with the local ejidos and the local groups that live in the area. And we're very well financed, we're well structured as well. The company has over $50 million in cash, no debt, and we're funded through the initial scoping studies. We have 208 million shares outstanding with substantial insider ownership, and we're undervalued versus our peers on an EV per ounce basis. That means a high re-rating potential. I like this slide a lot. I think this describes the size here, the scale, and that's really important here. This was a district that was divided in half. I spent a year in Mexico working with the various families and the concession holders to bring this all together. And the result of that is that this has been consolidated for the first time in modern history. It's comparable to these major districts in Mexico, and it's comparable to cities. It's the size, it's bigger than Hong Kong actually too. And we've only explored about 10% of the district. Our resource sits on the very far western portion there where you see the blue and red. It sits on such a small part of this district that there's a chance to find many more of these centers of mass throughout. So our resource is 105 million ounces of silver equivalent at 437 grams per ton silver equivalent. And inferred, it's 114 million ounces of silver equivalent at 491 grams silver equivalent. This is at a lower cutoff, 150 gram cutoff. what you'll see is the resource responds very nice to cutoff grade enhancements, and we see minimal metal loss, but a substantial growth in grade. But this is a very good baseline here, and already at these levels here is the world's largest undeveloped high-grade silver project. We have excellent infrastructure. I talked about that, and we talked about how we compare to other Mexican silver projects. But right now, we do have a very aggressive 7-rig program on the property that's going to continue to put out news throughout the whole year and grow these resources. And we're targeting an updated resource towards the end of this year. And in the following year, likely we'll have our initial economic studies out. Now, what you can see here, that if you look at what's important in a mining project, and certainly what's important in a silver project, size, grade, and scale are the 3 main takeaways. And we have that. We have the size, we have the scale, and the grade that compares us to the leaders in the space, which I would consider Mag Silver, Silvercrest as 2 groups that have gone ahead of us and become multi-billion-dollar companies. You can see Vizsla in the middle here with the light blue, lighter blue, compared to the others. You can see that we compare very favorably in terms of size, and the grade is second only to Mag Silver and Silvercrest here in the producer side. As we're continuing to de-risk, we'll move to the left-hand side of this chart as we move into production. But one thing to take away here is that this is only 3 short years of drilling. I expect the growth here to be substantial and continue to grow, and we'll start to see this as we move outside of the western area into further prospecting. But we do have the potential to make new discoveries very close to our existing resource as well. I think in the future, this is one of these, century-long mining camps. You've seen it before in Mexico. I suspect that in the future we're going to have the west area as a center of mass, the central area as a center of mass, and the east as a center of mass, all to themselves, where you're going to have large-scale production that is going to be transformative for whatever company owns it. Now, one thing, this is all good, but how do we make money at this? I guess you're probably thinking to yourself. Well, we're very undervalued compared to our peers, and what we see here is that peer equities re-rate during the next phase for Vizsla. And we've seen this with Silvercrest, we've seen this with Mag Silver. You have the initial discovery, you have kind of the stock coming back to reality, and then as the projects get de-risked, you see a lot of value added, and those ounces that you find being valued at higher and higher amounts. And that's what we see here in this chart. We believe that Vizsla has considerable re-rating potential. We're trading at about $1 an ounce EV, silver equivalent right now. Our best comparables traded over $5. I would think that number has probably increased in the last few days of trading as well. And on the bottom chart here, you see, Vizsla Silver. It's a little bit higher now, but the comparables are well into the billions. Mag Silver, I think, being probably the best comparable. So over the last year here, we've continued to make high-grade discoveries and drill off our resource in the west. We've initiated metallurgical testing. We have 100% ownership of the district. We've completed over 250,000 meters already on the project. But we do have this large-scale program happening right now as we speak, 7 rigs turning, ongoing exploration of high-grade targets and high-potential targets across the district. We expect to have all those inputs like metallurgy, geotech, hydrological, and baseline environmental work all coming into not only an updated project resource in the second half of this year, but an initial PEA, which will be, I think, very good to show the scope and scale of what we're working on here at this project. And I'll demonstrate to the market that we do have what is going to be considered one of the world's largest silver primary producers out of Vizsla Silver. So that's the presentation here. I'm going to make room for Chris Donaldson to finish off with a number of our companies here at Inventa Capital. But I invite everybody to come to our booth, talk to us. We're going to be here for the whole conference, and looking forward to meeting you. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Michael. So up next, here to discuss several of Inventa Capital's group's other significant critical minerals opportunities is Chris Donaldson, Executive Chairman of Tin One Resources and CEO of Vizsla Copper. Thanks, Chris.